So, everyone, thank you for joining us for another on-stage podcast. And as you know, that I have my friend and co-host, multi-instrumentalist James A. Norkawich, and below here we have our special guest Tito Puente Jr., the son of the great Tito Puente, who has played wonderful bongos. And with Tito himself, he stands at a rare crossroads where legacy and individuality meet. He's the son of the king of Latin music, king of Latin music. So that make you the prince of Latin music?
No, I kind of bow out of that one.
So, but as you notice, everyone in the back, that's the only room that he can do this. And he
Yeah,
also, say that you wear New York on your sleeve. Well, look, he wears his father on his shirt, which is totally different.
sure. All the time. Yeah.
But not only that, he has never run from the weight of his father's name, but he has embraced it, which is important, and he's honored it. He's built upon it with a sound and spirit entirely his own. Now, Tito was raised in New York and now rooted in Miami. Tito carries the rhythms of both cities in his blood, the jazz infused pulse of Harlem, the vibrant Caribbean soaked energy of Yaman, South Florida, which is awesome. Now, I know that I think this is pretty old information, from marching bands beginnings to more than 300 performances a year. You probably did more than that recently, right?
Yes, yes, quite. It's been quite extensive, the touring as of late. I think the renaissance and the renewal of music in Latin general, music or Latin music in general, is been tenfold, and I'm grateful for that. My father did about 300 concerts a year, so I'm starting to feel what he felt at my age when he was my age at this time in his life. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, it's kind of funny that everyone who is, performing after their father passes, like, you want to get into music. You have this awesome album called "Like in My Father's Shoes," and that had collaborations with icons across salsa, jazz, and tropical music. And you also carved out a career defined by passion, respect, and evolution, which is awesome.
Yeah.
But this new documentary project alongside Edward James Olmos, I think that's recent, or is that a recent project?
Yeah, well, there's quite a few different documentaries, but one sanctioned by the estate of Tito Puente. We were in talks with Mr. Edward James Olmos. However, he bowed out gracefully of the project. It's still in play. But we have him as testimonial because he actually suffered from some malignant tumor in his throat.
Ooh.
I don't know if you saw that in the news late last
Yeah.
year, but he is now in remission. We thank God for that, and still acting. And of course, he decided to say, "Hey, look, I don't want to hold up the production of it, so I'm going to bow out. But I would love to do testimony." He was a very good friend of my father and a very avid Tito Puente fan as well.
Yeah,
So
and not only are you introducing new generation to groundbreaking music of your father while continuing to expand his own artistic footprint, but to work with Edward J's almost Commander Adama himself and
yeah,
Battlestar Galactica. Like,
yeah,
awesome, man.
yeah. Yeah, great gentleman, and we look forward to having him in testimonial footage of inside the documentary. We are now working with Mr. Fred Armisen, who is a
Oh, yeah. From
Fred is
Saturday
a
Night
writer,
Live. Yeah.
and I call him Uncle Fester and Wednesday. He's a great actor, great comedian. He's a drummer too as
Yeah.
well. So he's part of the team now. He will be narrating and directing a lot of the documentary that we're doing now.
Yeah, I like him. But thank you so much, Tito Puente Jr. Yeah, we're going to talk to you about your legacy, your identity, rhythm, and the journey of carrying a crown while forging a new one.
Yeah, it's tough shoes to fill. My father was an icon, legend, and yeah, he was known around the world as the king of Latin music. Am I the prince? No, I'm more of the curator of the king of Latin music. I want to make sure that the newer generation today understands and remembers the king of Latin music as now as we go into the 26th year of his passing, guys. This
Mhm.
May 31st. This year is the 26th year of the passing of Tito Puente. Feels like yesterday, but it's up to me and my generation to continue that and bridge the newer generation on remembering and who he was, along with Celia Cruz, Fania All Stars, and those
Oh,
other
yeah.
great pioneers.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, before I
Oh,
know, I don't know if you have anything to share Jimbo. But I just before we start really knowing who you are, give us a little bit of when where you like. We know we grew up, but what was it like to be under your father's shadow?
Oof, heavy duty. It has its pros and its cons. 6'7", 6'7". I got to tell you, honestly, it was a beautiful. At this age, I'm going to be 55 years old in 2 weeks. I have come to embrace who I am. I've come to embrace that I am a son of a massive legend and a genius in Latin music. I put my father in the same category as Duke Ellington, Count Basie, Tchaikovsky, Beethoven, and Tito Puente. Right there, he belongs right in that echelon of Mount Rushmore of great composers and arrangers and producers. He was an incredible father figure and father to me. And I've now embraced who I am, and I really catapulted his name, his essence, his career, and of course, his brand into the newer generation. My last name means Puente. That means bridge in Spanish. And that's what I've been doing for 26
Hmm.
years, bridging the younger generation to understand who Tito Puente was and still is relevant as his music is today. But it was great being his son. I'm so proud of my father, and I will continue to endure the great fan base that he had, millions and millions of fans around the world, and I continue to embrace them as I grow into curating his music.
Yeah, I know when you turn 50, that's quite a milestone. And
Yeah.
how did turning 50 reshape the way you view your father's legacy and your own place within it?
Yeah, I had to get my foothold into it because I come from a rock music world. I love rock music. I never even liked mambo music. I used to fall asleep at my father's concerts all the time. Yeah, so those who do know me and those of my family members know that I'm a heavy metal guy. I like Iron Maiden and Metallica and Slayer. I love the heavy stuff. I'm
Wow.
into rock drumming, and I started off as a trap kit drummer first, and then I moved over into learning about Afro-Cuban music by traveling with my father.
Hmm.
And I love the fact that he made me go to school. I had to learn how to read and write music, and of course, learn how to play through drum lessons, through other means, and not through Tito Puente. A lot of people think, oh, you learned from your father. It must have been easy for you. No, it was very difficult simply because he was never home doing 300 shows a year. I was very young when I first started. I was about maybe 13, 14 years old, and then gravitated towards music, being born and raised in New York City, having a palette for different genres of music: Latin, merengue, rock, hip hop, dance music, house music. I loved it all. And throughout my career, I had my own career going, as a matter of fact, throughout my tenure of my almost 30-year career at this point. I was doing dance music, and I had my own records and my own releases until the unfortunate passing of my father in
Yeah.
2000, where that's when I started moving into the world of Afro-Cuban music. You guys call it today salsa. I call it Afro-Cuban music. And it's been a great treat, and I'm very proud to embrace his name and be the person that's pushing his name, brand, and everything about him forward into the new millennium, into the new generation, for them to understand it and to bridge that world. Hopefully, my son and my kids and their children and my grandchildren will take after their grandparents and their great grandfather and play his music.
Exactly.
Tito, I wanted to ask because I started with in radio very well, music and radio, most music first and then radio. But when I worked New York radio, it was rumored that you had quite a say when the freestyle movement came out, because that was in as you know, and we can go on forever with this subject. It was infusing Latin rhythms and then taking what would be considered pop music, mixing them together, and putting that across the airwaves. So is that rumor true?
That is a correct rumor, and it still is even till today. I just went to go see my good friend Johnny O and Cynthia and TKA, and I love all those freestyle dance music. They call it Latin hip hop. I'm in love
Yep.
with all that music. I'm friends with all of them today. They are my youth. I grew up in the 80s. I'm an 80s kid, roller skating, Madonna, Phil Collins, and freestyle music and hip hop. That was my thing, and rock. Um,
No.
So to me, again, being from New York City, from the urban parts of New York as well, the Bronx, Spanish Harlem, I was very much influenced in that. My father didn't care for any of that music. He was like, "Who are these people, playing rock music and this dance music, Latin hip hop?" I kind of got my father into that style of music, and that's why he was one of the first Latin band leaders to perform on a dance freestyle song. It came out in 1986. It was
Yep.
a song called "Clave Rocks" by Amaretto. And
Wow.
it was one of the first freestyle Latin hip hop songs to feature a Latin band leader. And on top of that, Tito Puente was one of the first Latin band leaders and timbaleros to play on a hip hop song prior to Curtis Blow's "The Breaks," which I believe came out in
Wow.
83 or 82 with
Three.
Jimmy Delgado and Curtis Blow. Before that was Tito Puente and the Sugar Hill Gang. And
Hmm.
this was 1979, 1980, right around there.
I was
And
still
the
in high
album, of
school.
course, was it was called it was the B side of the world famous song that they have, which is Sugar Hill Gang Rapper's Delight. This one was called Sugar Hill Groove, and you
Hmm.
guys can look at that up on YouTube, and it's factual. And my dad was friends with the record company president named Sylvia Roman,
Mm.
and
Mhm.
he was a fan, and she said, "Hey, why don't you come to the studio here in Inglewood, New Jersey, and play on this hip hop track?" And he's like, "I never heard of hip hop before. I don't know what that is." And he said, "Just press play." And he did it, and he was one of the first band leaders to play on a hip hop record. So he was if you think about it, a pioneer in Latin hip hop and in freestyle music, and he also was one of the first to put a Latin woman in front of an orchestra in the 1940s and 50s and 60s, along with Celia Cruz, La Lupe, the Castro sisters, Abby Lynn, Sophie. There's so many female artists that my father performed with, but it was
Wow.
unheard of at the time. And so he broke barriers and broke walls and trends and made trends and was an innovator is the word I usually give for Tito Puente. But that I love the fact that I got my dad into freestyle music.
I
Yeah,
wonder what he felt about
I know.
Elvis.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
I love the fact that he was just one of those artists that when he hopped on stage, just his love for life and and you and I have a mutual friend who passed, but when we had conversations and talking about your dad, just the fact that he was just a down to earth, beautiful human
Mm.
being, and
Yeah.
you know the fact that he raised a family in the way a family should be raised, in music, in love, with the right morals, with all encompasses everything that just comes together,
Our
and
friend,
and that
our mutual friend Jackie was so beautiful in relaying that message to everybody that came across Tito Puente's music. And by the way, Tito Puente was a street musician. He started off as a street musician first at a very young age, and then got his formal training and learning about composition after the World War, which
Wow.
today happens to be Memorial Day here in this
Yeah.
United States, and we remember Tito Puente as a fellow Navy man. But Jackie was very, very positive, and I love that. And that's what my father left an impression on many, many different fans that he grew up with. He was a street guy. He was from Spanish Harlem, New York. You could walk up to him and say hello to him. So he was like all of our uncles, if you will. Uncle Tito's here, and we love his music.
yeah.
And, it was like a family person, very,
Mhm.
down to earth.
I mean, even for a gringo like me, I mean, I
Lindo.
when I went from rock into jazz and to Latin jazz, and matter of fact, you talk about drummers like the famous Dave Weckl went to the same school that I went to in Bridgeport, Connecticut, and you know it. But the thing was with your dad, and the thing with you is you never forget where you came from,
Absolutely.
and
Yeah.
you it's in your music, it's in how you when you're performing, when you treat people, you know you're the same across every platform. There isn't just well, I get off the stage, I'm done for the day, which leads me to the question, which leads me to this question. So all the performances that, and I'm trying to think how many performances, and let's just, if we had to narrow it down to 100, right? is there one or two performances that truly stand out as in your career as with your dad, by
Hmm.
yourself, or with someone else?
Well,
Hmm.
I would be remiss not to mention that some of the greatest performances I ever had was to share the stage with my late father. He was an incredible person. The energy and the aura that he brought to the stage was tenfold. He was electric on stage. He was unique and incomparable. And there's so many words I can and adjectives I can give to Tito Puente, but sharing and being on the stage was very intimidating for me, being his son, as my father was the king of Latin music, and I will never be the prince. But being around such a great percussion player, and he just held an account for himself, that he was so proud. By the way, he was a little vertically challenged, though. My father was only 5'3", and I'm 5'8", so I was a little taller.
Wow.
So he had
Amazing.
I don't know if he had a Napoleon complex, but he was like Prince. But he was
Yeah.
a little shorter than most of the musicians, but he was very powerful on that stage, and especially his arms. My dad had these arms; they were like Popeye. I had the bigger forearms. I think it was from playing all those years. But I knew the genius behind him as I got older, throughout his career, and understanding what it takes to make 2 to 3 albums a year for 6 decades. He had over 186 albums to his credit,
Wow.
Grammy Awards and accolades, and
Who else does that?
it's just amazing the catalog of music. I mean, we're talking about at least 7,500, maybe 10,000 arrangements that he has, and there's just
Okay.
such a massive, uh, I guess just a career that's to be reckoned with. It has to be world records in here, as far as like most recorded Latin artists of all time, most arrangements of all time of any Latin composer. I would think Tito Puente could stand on all those, records if I reached out to Guinness Book and maybe filed these things. But I
Jeez.
think that, his name and his brand, and people just know him as a household name. And that guy who shot Mr. Burns on on The Simpsons, and the other guy, yeah, Tito Puente, Maggie's I think teacher, and then the other guy that almost beat up Oscar the Grouch. He was fighting Oscar the Grouch on Sesame Street.
Yeah.
Grouches can't dance. Tito Puente was right there. So, I mean, you talk about being a household name. You're on two of the biggest shows that anybody could ever be on. The most animated film show ever, The Simpsons, and of course Sesame Street, which is a decades and decades long, children's program.
Yeah.
So there you go.
That's
Cool
Ernie's
stuff.
laugh. I learned to do that when I was younger. I still know it.
Yeah, we all been influenced by those
Yeah.
particular programs, and then all the movies that my father did. Armed and Dangerous with John Candy, Radio
Mm.
Days, Woody Allen,
Oh
Mambo Kings,
yeah.
of
The
course.
Kings.
Mambo Kings, a
Wow.
huge movie. He was in so many different, and his soundtrack. He was on so many different soundtracks of different programs, and we can't forget about the almighty Carlos Santana as well. You know,
Oh,
you
Yeah.
know, my dad didn't like rock music, and the story goes, my father said, "Who's this guitar player playing my music? What's up with that?" He didn't like rock music, and then he got a check in the mail from Carlos Santana one day, and my dad flipped the script and he said, "I love rock music and I love Carlos Santana."
yep.
That was it.
Not to
Yeah.
mention, I mean, I remember when the Mambo Kings first came out with him, your dad, Arturo Sandoval,
Yes.
who, I mean, when you hear that trumpet line come up, ba da ba da ba
Yeah.
ba da bum, and
Yeah.
like, I mean, he hugged around that horn like it was nothing.
Yeah. I
I
want
mean,
to know.
it just
I want to. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt. Do you know if your father Tito kind of got his inspiration from Desi Arnaz Jr. because he also was a mumbo as well?
Okay, so Desi Arnaz Jr. was in the Mambo Kings. He played his father, Desi Arnaz.
Okay.
And Desi Arnaz Sr., the actor,
Yep.
of course, married to Lucille Ball,
Yep.
was good friends with my father, although dad never got the opportunity to be on the program simply
Oh.
because at that time he was traveling and working so much. He wanted to get on the I Love Lucy show. So
Wow.
that never came to fruition. I think Desi Lou Productions was out on the West Coast, and at that time, Dad was working a lot at the Palladium Ballroom in New York City, 1950s and 60s. I think that's when they were filming these programs. But yeah, they were very good friends, and the Mambo Kings movie really catapulted my father into that superstardom.
Hmm.
That's when he got his star in the Hollywood Walk of Fame, celebrated his 100th album, which you see back there, and that's when The Simpsons came calling, and all those other beautiful movies and television programs that Dad was featured on. But yeah, he was very good friends with them, and he appreciated them. Tito Puente, by the way, just a side note, wanted to be a trap kit drummer. He was a big fan of Buddy Rich, okay, and
Really?
Gene Krupa.
You're
That's what
kidding.
my father.
Really?
Gene
Yeah,
Krupa.
that's what Dad
Wow.
wanted to be. But he got into a bicycle accident and learned about Afro-Cuban music, and that's when he moved over to timbales. He was a piano player, saxophone player, played 13 different instruments. But he wanted to be a Gene Krupa. That was his fan. He was a fan of Gene Krupa and Buddy Rich. That's where Puente really, honed in on
Yeah,
percussion.
your father was amazing. He blended mambo with swing and big band jazz. What do you feel you have added to the Puente musical lineage?
Yes. Well, Tito Puente, of course, was one of those pioneers that brought the brass section into the mambo world of
Mm.
Afro-Cuban music, where you have the conga, the timbal, and the bongo at the front of the stand of the band. That was unheard of at the time. It was always in the back. The drummers are always in the back. So Tito Puente was so exciting to watch that Machito and his Afro-Cuban All-Stars, came and they said, hey, we got to put this kid in the front. And Dad, of course,
Wow.
added the brass section to bring that Cab Calloway, Duke
Mm,
Ellington,
yeah.
Count
Oh,
Basie swing to mambo music, and that's what you hear on those albums from the 1950s and 60s.
Amazing.
Yeah, cool stuff, man. Very innovative too at the time too.
Wow. Now, I learned that your father didn't teach you drums directly. Now, how did learning from others, like watching him from the sidelines, influence your approach to musicianship?
Thank you for that question. I get that a lot. We didn't have YouTube back in the 80s or 90s. YouTube was fairly, about the past 20 years or so. So at that time, I would have to, my mother, thank God she's still with us, 83 years young today, and with us in
oh,
New York
happy
City,
birthday.
Wow.
Margaret Puente. Yeah, she's fantastic. And she was the one that said, Dad wasn't home that much. So she said, during the summertime when I was 14, 15, why don't you go on the road with your father? And my father used to be very, I would say that I could use the word arrogant, a little cocky, but very militant and professional when it came to the band. So when it was time to for showtime or sound check, he would say, why don't you just sit there and listen and learn? And that's what I kind of did. And I didn't really interrupt him. And I respected that. But he said, you have to learn rudiments, drum rudiments, and paradiddles, and 7-stroke rolls, and learning how to read and write, Jazz 101, jazz appreciation. And I'm glad that I got the opportunity to do that. I went to Five Towns College. I learned from a great man named Sam Ulano, who passed away many moons ago.
Hmm.
And I learned my paradiddles and my strokes. And I got that from the rock drumming and learning into jazz drumming. And then I took that and I incorporated that into my own style, into timbale playing. Although Tito Puente has his own style, I have my own style too.
Hmm.
My father's was a very fast-paced, rapid style of playing. He's also a very prominent marimba and vibraphone player, Tito Puente. A lot of
Wow.
people know that if you can look on YouTube and see his amazing vibraphone playing. So with that, I got that first taste of learning how to play percussion professionally by my father's hand, saying, "You need to learn this way. Go to school and learn," just like I did, when he went to Juilliard. So I'm glad that he did that because
Yeah.
I think I would have a very easy route to be that drummer where he said, no, I'm not going to let you get the fast route, especially when it comes to musicianship and learning how to read and write music. Being
That's
on stage,
amazing.
being an entertainer, but actually looking at music papers and seeing and understanding the roots of Afro-Cuban music and the 3/2 and the 2/3 clave, you have to learn that, with lessons. I'm
Yeah.
glad I did.
Yeah. Like I'm watching your video with Joseph Arroyo called Aqua Limpia Todo. Now, I know that like what keeps you, Tito Puente Jr., energized, inspired, and connected to music night after night, like more than 300 shows. I couldn't do 2 shows a week.
Let me tell you something, man. I don't drink coffee either. I don't understand it. It's an electric thing that's inside of me. I don't know. My heart has a pulse that's rapid or faster than others. My wife is always telling me, do I have a turn off switch? Do you ever like turn off? Because when I get up in the morning, I'm
Yep.
kind of go, 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 go. And I love that. I think my father was like that too. He always went 3 to 4 hours before his flights, wherever he flew, him and Celia Cruz. They were very energetic people. And I find that that work ethic to be instilled in me. And I try to teach that with my children and my band, where I say, if you're on time, you're late. And if you're early, you're on time. My father taught me that. And I
Yep.
think that's really the work ethic
Yep.
that I appreciate most from being his son. And that's why I choose to project his music towards the youth of today and really show a high honor and respect for it.
Wow.
This music needs to be performed by big bands and symphonies, and I try to channel that so that way these symphonies and big bands and conservatories and music universities all understand and play Tito Puente music, where they might not be cultured, is the word, to be cultured about Afro-Cuban music. But yeah, man, really electric stuff. I wake up in the morning and I hit it, man. I go.
You know,
Yeah,
we
you
were
should.
we were talking we were talking about Latin music in particular before you came on, and you know this is because you and I are in close proximity with one another. So in a world that often feels divided, can music still unite people the way it once did? I mean, I know Latin music can, but do you feel? I mean, as a whole, from when you're performing to just uh, living, telling your dad's story again through you and telling your story with everything that's going on in the world. Do you think that music can still make a difference just as it did?
It does. And I'll tell you how. I performed a couple last week or the week before in Lubbock, Texas. I was out there in Marshall, Michigan. Pockets of this country need to be cultured a little bit more. Yeah, we can all see the Super Bowl and see Bad Bunny, and we feel that energy, but maybe they might not understand it. They might not understand it. Middle America, Wyoming might not understand clave rhythms and understand culture, Hispanic culture or Afro-Cuban culture. So I think I find it to be very fulfilling for me to go to these pockets of America and teach kids and teach parents about Afro-Cuban music. It's very easy now because we're very close in it now with the internet and Alexa, and you can still go home and tell Alexa, play Tito
It's
Puente
true.
music. We're all learning. We're all getting it, and that's great. But I think me being my presence there and being maybe the heir to the throne or the son of a legend or just me being related to somebody who's part of being an ambassador of Latin music worldwide. That's what Tito Puente was, an ambassador of music. My father performed for 7 different presidential, elections and presidents in the United States White House, and inaugurations, and he's got medals of honor from presidents too. So Democrat, Republican, it didn't matter. My father was always about bringing people for at least 2 to 3 hours to come and enjoy and be cultured with Afro-Cuban music, learn about this stuff, and to dance Mambo music, and to really understand the essence of Latin American music. Tito Puente was born and raised in New York City in Spanish Harlem. As an American citizen, it's nice that he can actually go out there and maybe talk to American people, white, gringo, whatever it is, Oriental,
Yeah.
Chinese,
Mhm.
Japanese, black, Hispanic, white bread, green, brown, whatever color you are. And I feel like when I do my concerts, I get multicultural people there from all races, creeds, and colors. And they understand we're all in the same room. And I'm teaching them about Afro-Cuban music and what Tito Puente meant to the world. And I think that's my ambassadorship towards the music that I'm giving through channeling, my father's life and his legacy as the stories are told. So it's great. And I can tell you that honestly, it does bring people together. I think more so now than ever, as we have a divided world and country through all the trials and tribulations that we are going through, not only in this country but around the world. I think music does bring people together, and I think Tito Puente's music we need it more now than ever before.
I totally agree, and that's if I may ask, with you personally, with from from a young child to now, I mean, really, what has music taught you about life? What has it taught you about healing, resilience, and just the human spirit?
I was in a rental car the other day listening to some 80s music. It must have been freestyle or something. And I felt I never feel
I love
depressed.
it.
I never feel depressed. Why? Because I always have my earbuds in, music on, radio on, music, music, music. Although it's very quiet right now, but my house is usually full of music. My son loves music. My daughter loves music. My wife loves music. We all endure and love music so much, that all genres too. And that's what I encourage everybody to do, is listen to different genres of music. You don't have to be centralized on Spanish music or hip hop or rock or metal. I listen to everything, symphonic music. But I feel that music has saved me in my soul, my heart, my spirituality. I don't think I can do any workouts at the gym without having music in my ear. I don't think anybody can. You need music to drive you. It's a driving force. And I think more so than taking an energy pill or a 5-hour energy drink or even coffee. Put some music in my ear, man, and I'm doing a marathon. you know, that's just I
It
think
should.
that's part of the essence of being the human spirit. And maybe it affects some people a little bit differently, because I know a lot of people like, hey, turn that down. And I'll tell grandma or grandpa, it's going to get turned up. Too bad, because
Wow.
it's our unified spirit. So, together as a unified world, music, and we need it through soundtracks. Well, if we watch television, any television programs or TV programs, there's music behind it. We don't even realize it. But there's music, and the music affects us from the morning, noon, and night to the time we wake up until the time we go to bed. And what I teach children, and especially younger children, they always ask and they want to be inspired. What can you tell the kids? I'll tell you a quote that my father gave me: "Surround yourself with creative people, thus you will be creative." And if
Mm.
I've done that so many times, I try to teach people that. Surround yourself with other musicians. We have a camaraderie, myself and my fellow musicians that I work with. They don't have to be drummers. They can be a singer, a dancer. You're in the entertainment world, business, whatever it is. Surround yourself with those people, and you guys could talk all night. I'll be talking all night long, just yapping my head off about music and the camaraderie of it, and 2/4, 3/2 clave and the people that we know. And that's the greatest part about being a musician, is that we have a camaraderie that's so enamored that people are jealous of that. And some people that maybe work in another field of work, they're like, how come musicians are so like Teflon and they never get in trouble? They're rock stars. And I feel like it's because we have an artistic, unified camaraderie between all of us. And whether it be in what you guys do, podcasting or newscasting, or just in the entertainment, I could talk to actors, producers, anything that's in the speaking publicly, public speaking. Musicians have that same thing because you're performing live. And I think that's really it. Surround yourself with creative people, and you will be creative yourself. Bounce ideas off each other.
Well, I mean,
That's
if
just
you listen to music, your wife's listening to music, there's music in the house. I don't think anybody walks in. They're going to be worried if they walk in and say, okay, why is it so silent? Is everyone okay in there? Um, I know that now, like your relationship with your father's name evolved over time. So when you said embrace the nepotism, what does that
yeah.
mean to you now?
Yeah, I've been hearing that word. Wow, I think since junior high school, simply because I was born and raised in New York. A lot of people New York is a little bit different. They're very abrasive uh, personalities, and they're not impressed by who you are or what you do. And I think that's what
No.
no, not at all.
No.
And I love that about being a New Yorker, fellow New Yorker. Like, hey, I could talk to the guy who's homeless and he's the same, we're on an equal level, and we talk to each other like he doesn't know who I am. I don't know who he is, but we inspire each other. We talk to each other. And I love that. The nepotism thing I've been getting a long time, but I've embraced it now. And it was a little tricky for me. I'm trying to guide my son, who I named Tito Puente Jr. the third, understand that, as he is now channeling his own musical abilities into his own genre of music, which he's playing pop and rock music.
Wow.
And I know that he'll probably get that in the future. People are like, oh, well, we'll open up this door because you're Tito Puente's son. I want you to go in there to make sure that you're talented first and make sure you know your craft. And I think that's really the essence of it. My father did not give me a free pass, man. He did not. And I'm glad that he didn't. And I'm glad that I still get compared, and I still get, I get bullied all the time. And at the
Mm.
age of 55, I find it just to be constructive criticism, and I can take it. I can take that abrasiveness. I think being a New Yorker, I can take that now. Before I couldn't. It used to hurt my feelings a lot. And there was a point where I just didn't want to do this, but I
Mm.
got the blessings of my family, my sister, my brother, my mother, and my family too. And they appreciate it, and they said, "Hey, you can do this. We've seen the work that you put in. You're doing the job right." I might not play like Tito Puente. I don't think anybody in this world can. Nobody can play the skill that my father had. All I'm doing is channeling his music and trying to teach the newer generation. So that's why I say I'm a curator of Tito Puente's brand and his music. And I try to stay in my lane, if you will. I see a lot of chat rooms on here on these pages on Facebook and TikTok and all that, and everybody's opinionated on it. But I try to stay in my lane, and I would say I'm not the foremost authoritative figure on Tito Puente, but I could tell you what it was like being his son, and it was the greatest thing.
Tito. I see. Well, of course, you're in New York. I'm in Connecticut. I'm a stone's throw away, literally.
Yeah, I love
And
Connecticut. Whereabouts? I love Connecticut.
So I was born and raised in Bridgeport.
Oh, right, love Bridgeport.
And then I'm in Glastonbury now, but I know you're not you're kind of New Haven's native son. They've kind of adapted you.
Yeah, yeah.
So you and I remember this. Well, the whole world remembers this, but I remember the gig scene in New York was really hot, and
Awesome.
then September 11th happened.
Yes.
Mm.
And then the world kind of shut down.
Yeah.
And whether it be us live performing musicians and in various genres, and radio. So I was worried that, like, personally, I was doing radio and I was doing being a full-time musician.
Mm. Mm.
It seemed like the parameters changed when that all happened. What did that day and from henceforth on? It almost felt like we needed to rebuild. Do you feel that we really are healed and rebuilt from the ground up and actually have gone above and beyond musically? When I say that, back, okay, now I'm dating myself. You had your clubs, you had Club USA, you had the Limelight, you had all those places. I was the guy who was going to the Blue Note, and I was over in Greenwich Village.
Still there.
And I see that you're going to be there, but we'll talk about that soon.
Yeah.
So it seemed like there was that halt, and there was that moment where we had to have that self-reflection and say, what are we going to do? And music, and this has always been my mantra, like, music is a soundtrack of our lives.
Yes,
so why not make it a good one?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
For you, what's the soundtrack of your life?
Mm.
So what does Tito do on a beautiful day like today, and from once you wake up to once you go to bed, what is the soundtrack for your life as it pertains to you?
And then you have to answer this question: what would be your your entrance song? You're entering a room. What song would be playing?
Oh, wow. Just to reflect quickly on 9/11, my father did not see that happen. He passed away a year before that, and I'm grateful.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I'm grateful for, that he didn't see that, because it would have broke his heart. He used to play at Windows of the World, which is on the top floor, 110th.
Top floor.
He also played in the Plaza on Wednesdays. They used to do Latin meets jazz right there, and he loved the World Trade Center, just like all of us did. I recorded my first video there too. So to me, and as a fellow New Yorker, it hurts my heart, especially on today, on Memorial Day too. We think about all that we lost that particular day and all that we lost after that, all the fighting, that we had to go through. And a lot of kids today never saw that, but we were there and experienced it. And it was very traumatic to all of us. And I'm glad my father didn't see that. He would have been brokenhearted. Yes, the world did change. Yes, the nightclub scene definitely changed. And the world changed for the newer generation to come in and to learn more about this stuff, and to, there were some great bands also that came out of that after 2000, great orchestras, and of course the reggaeton movement. The Latin music genre blossomed into this whole huge thing, merengue and dance music and everything. My playlist because you were asking me earlier, what's my playlist? What do I listen to? When I wake up, I kind of just go hone into what I'll be doing for the day. But I bought a record player recently, and I'm listening to my father's albums. Go figure,
Wow.
because I got them on vinyl now, and they're coming out with new re-releases and stuff. So I've been listening to a lot of that. But I'm more of the Netflix and chill guy. When I'm home, I'm playing music all day long, guys. So when I'm traveling, I'm listening to music. When I get to the sound check, I'm playing. When I'm doing the show, I'm playing, and then I'm greeting and meeting and greeting and meeting and greeting and greeting and meeting everybody after and before the show. So when I come home, I kind of digress and just go into like a peaceful mode. And I always tell my wife, I say, well, it's time for other people to entertain me. I've been entertaining everybody for 48 hours. So please, somebody entertain me. So I throw on the television. She's like, here's Netflix and here's some popcorn. And, I start absorbing, just shows and programs. And I was trying to go see Mandalorian this week, because I'm a Star Wars junkie. So I'm trying that. So that's the kind of normal things that I do. What kind of song would I listen to if I walked in a room? Wow. Most people would say, Oye, como va, simply because of the vamp. And it's such a rewarding song for our family. But there's so many different songs that I love. And I would probably go more towards like Metallica or Iron Maiden, simply because I love rock music so much.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. I'm
yeah. I always tell people that
rock stuff.
When I walk into a room, you got to play Unsolved Mysteries theme.
Yeah. I love that. But yeah.
Now I just had the weirdest idea. Imagine if we can do a salsa version of Enter Sandman.
Yeah, something. Everybody's telling me you got to do metal mambo or mambo metal somehow. I'm going to figure it out and infuse the two. I'm going to probably talk to my good friend Mr. Dave Lombardo, who is the Cuban drummer of Slayer. So maybe me and him can come up with a record. And
amazing, yeah.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know that. Yeah.
Yeah, I actually heard someone play AC/DC's Thunderstruck on a violin. It's anything possible.
It can happen. It can happen. It's great you would never believe that a lot of the famous drummers knew Tito Puente. And my father didn't really know them, but I have to turn him on to them. So my father I'm a very big Rush fan. And the late, great Professor Neil Peart was amazing. And my father said, that guy is amazing. And if my father could say that, and he also said that about Phil Collins as well. So if my father can be turned on by those rock drummers, I'm pretty sure that they, in return, who I knew, Neil and Phil, they were both like, we love your father. So it's great,
Yeah. Wasn't Richie Valens from Buddy Holly's, wasn't he also a mambo player as well?
I believe so. He played a lot of Latin music, but yeah, Buddy Holly and Richie Valens, I'm sure they knew who Tito Puente was, simply because Dad was popular in those guys came out in the 60s. So yeah, the 1958, 59, Tito Puente was extremely popular in American music, in Latin American music especially. Yeah.
I mean, he was, there was a recording that you can't find that doesn't, it either wasn't inspired, wasn't infused. I mean, and then, talk about Celia Cruz for a second. I mean, they were just infused at the hip, and what they did, like you said, the energy between your dad and Celia Cruz. I mean,
unbelievable chemistry. Unbelievable.
Yeah. I mean, just how they complemented each other, and one could read the other one's mind. There was nothing more amazing when you have artists today that they're just. They can barely get through a lead sheet, let alone, you know what I mean?
Tito Puente was headstrong. Dad was so headstrong about having Celia Cruz front the orchestra back in the 1960s when they did the albums, the first ones. And she came from Sonora Matancera, from the island of the beautiful country of Cuba. And when she came to New York, she met Tito Puente and Johnny Pacheco and all those other greats. But my father was so adamant about having, and it was just unheard of at the time, guys, having a Black Hispanic woman be in front of an orchestra and at the world famous Palladium Ballroom in New York, and everybody's standing there in the front like, what does this guy think he's doing? How dare you put this woman in front of us? And when he said, everybody be quiet and listen to her voice.
Whoa,
and that's the spiral electricity was so tornadic. And it was immense, like a hurricane came in the room, and it just became this mambo craze. And from that point on, Tito Puente and Celia Cruz became ambassadors, king and queen of Latin music worldwide. But yeah, Celia was a beautiful woman, and she was my godmother, by the way. She was there when I was born.
Really?
Yeah, and my
Wow.
sister, and she was just a beautiful, beautiful, and incredible spiritual lady that I think about her each and every day. I think I talk about my father, of course, every day, but Celia is always coming through my words each and every single day. Just thinking about her. She comes into my dreams a lot, and just a beautiful essence and an entity that forever will be remembered. And I'm looking, she's looking at me right now. There's pictures of the walls, pictures on the walls right in front of me, and she's staring at me. So,
Nice.
Celia will always be the king and the queen of Latin music, always.
Yeah, Tito, is there like a story you love sharing on stage that always gets a reaction?
Plenty of them. The Carlos Santana one's a funny one
Yeah.
with Dad getting the check. There's a lot of funny ones that I mentioned about. There's a conga player that wrote a song called Complications that was on a 1957 jazz album that my dad did called Dance Mania. The man was married a couple of times, and so naturally the name of the song is called Complications.
There you go.
Yeah, so I do. I talk about the songs in between, and the Cayuco is about a square guy. Back then, they used to call them squares. They used to lean up on the wall and try to pick a girl to dance with, at the club. So that's what that's from. So there are funny stories and great comedic stuff that my dad was an entertainer, all around entertainer. Not only a great percussion player and a genius when it came to composing and producing music, but that very humble guy and can make just laugh your pants off. And it was great. And he would bring young and old together, and it was very family orientated. And that's the kind of shows that I bring to the table now when I do my concerts.
And I think, Tito, and maybe you can agree or disagree with me on this. When the show Dancing with the Stars came up,
Ooh.
and ballroom dancing became big again, of course, Latin music made its resurgence.
Yes.
And I'm trying to remember now. I'm trying to. Somebody brought it up, but it was all centered around your dad. I tried to find it on YouTube.
Yes.
And I've been trying to find it for years.
So the story with Dancing with the Stars is I did season 16 with my good friend Cheryl Burke, and she was one of the champions. She asked, hey, we want to do a nice tribute to your father. Would you like to be on the show? And I was so nervous. So I flew out there. I rehearsed with the band, and we did a beautiful rendition of Oye Como Va and another beautiful song. We blended it in a medley, and they did a whole routine. And it was fantastic. And it is on YouTube. You can go on my YouTube channel and see it there. Just type in Tito Puente Jr., Dancing with the Stars, and you'll see Cheryl doing the routine. I'm playing. And then right after that, Cheryl's like, hey, do you want to do the show? Do you want to be on the show? And I was like, this is when Jerry Springer was on, God rest his soul. And he was like the worst dancer I've ever seen. Although, God rest his soul. I said, if I can do better than Jerry Springer, then maybe I'll do it. But I didn't think I have 2 left feet, so I couldn't do it. But she was really encouraging me, and so were the producers. They wanted me to do the show. I bowed out gracefully, and I said, I think I'm going to pass. And maybe one day I'll do it. I don't know. They're still asking me even till today. And that would be kind of good. So Tito Puente Jr. should be able to do Dancing with the Stars. I better have some rhythm in my blood.
Well, hey, if what's her name? I forget her name, but she had 2 steel legs and she was dancing on the
That's
street.
right.
Yeah. What's her name?
She was an Olympic.
something?
I think she was an Olympic skier, right? Or skier, right?
Yeah, but she was dancing on her fake legs. And she said she couldn't do it.
Prosthetic legs, man. Unbelievable. She made it all the way. I think she became champion. I mean, unbelievable. So, it's me, then Jerry Springer, and then maybe, I don't know, what was that, Emmett Smith and one of the other guys that were horrible.
Yeah.
Amy Purdy.
One of those millionaires.
Amy Purdy.
Yeah. One of those millionaire guys, that were there for 1 week and they got cut out. I probably wouldn't even make it a week, but I'll try. It's these. They keep asking me, and maybe one day I'll do it. I'm getting the courage. So.
Well, you got to do what you feel. Don't do it because you were asked, because you got to do it for your father.
Too busy.
Right?
I'm too busy celebrating Tito Puente music and bringing it to the world. But if I could but I think it takes about 6 or 8 weeks to do Dancing with the Stars. You have to live out there and rehearse and all that.
Wow, yeah.
So,
but it's not for lack of rhythm. That's for damn sure.
Well, my knees are, I'm going to be 55 and I do enough dancing on my own concerts. So
Wow,
I don't want to be a liability for them.
that's amazing.
Speaking of which, when are you coming to Connecticut, and when are you playing in the city?
Wow. So many, many concerts coming up. The summer seems the booking agents are just knocking me out. I had to take this week off simply because my son just graduated high school. So
Nice.
I decided to take a few
Oh,
days off.
congrats!
Yeah, I'm very, very happy that I got to do that. I couldn't be there for my daughter last year simply because I was on tour. He was in Germany at the time. So I'm very, very happy to say that we'll be out on the road again. We're doing a beautiful tribute concert on June 1st at St. Peter's Church in Manhattan, New York. That'll be the day after the 26th anniversary of Tito Puente's passing. My dad passed away May 31st, 2000. So on June 1st, we'll be celebrating his life and his legacy at St. Peter's Church right there in Manhattan. My birthday is June 2nd, but I will be celebrating it the entire week in Seattle, Washington on June 4th with Nestor Torres, Grammy
I will
Award.
release this episode on June
Really?
2nd on your birthday. Then how about that?
Oh, I appreciate that. Yeah. Okay. And then I'm doing a big annual concert. I do a 2-night residency at a place called Arts Garage in Delray Beach, Florida. I'll be there June 6th and 7th.
Nice.
And then I do the Puerto Rican Day Parade. I'll be there in New York City on June 14th, going down 5th Avenue on the 90th anniversary of the Goya Float.
Nice.
So that'll be nice. That'll be on ABC 7 in New York. The day before, June 13th, I'll be on WPIX Channel 11 in New York at the 116th Street Festival. And then I'll be back in White Plains. So I'm doing a lot of stuff in the tri-state area. You can find out everything that I'm doing. I'll go to West Coast, East Coast, going to Texas. I'll be up in Connecticut your way real soon, too. I think I'm doing Hartford. I'll be in Bridgeport, I think, at the end of the summer, and Boston. And I'm not sure where you're at either, but if you're in the tri-state area, I'm always up in that area. Just go to my YouTube or Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter and TikTok. And every Monday I post the dates. I just did that this morning, and it tells you all the dates and where I'm going to be at for
Nice.
each and every month. So just follow me on social media at Tito Puente Jr.
Certainly will.
Yeah. Crazy busy, man. By the way, I got some hot sauce too. If you guys like hot sauce, yep, that's right. Tito Puente Jr. Not only do I play salsa, I make salsa.
Oh, wow.
You're kidding.
Yeah, I
Wow.
got some hot sauce. You go to TitoPuenteJr.hot.com. I got them over there in the kitchen, but so I got 4 different flavors. If you guys like some hot sauce for the summertime in your barbecues, pick some up. And I got all merchandise, Tito Puente
Yeah.
shirts, hats, all that stuff.
Oh,
TitoPuenteJr.hot.com.
that's awesome.
Check it out.
I wanted to
We got to.
go
I
ahead,
was
Jim.
going to say we got to get you on the Food Network with either Guy Fieri
yeah.
or someone.
Oh man,
You know?
I'll send you guys some samples too. By the way, so
Yes,
give me your
please.
address.
Thank you.
I
Sure.
hope you like it hot too, because this is hot stuff.
Caliente.
I didn't want to miss out on this question, but can you tell us about the upcoming Edward James Olmos documentary? Like, what part of your father's story do you feel the world still doesn't fully understand?
Okay, so the footage that you will be seeing on this amazing 90-minute documentary, hopefully it'll be coming out. It's a lot of red tape, but I know we're looking towards the beginning of 2027, end of 2026 for the trailer. The footage is about 30 years of my mother, Margaret Puente, with a handheld Betamax camera, and I had
Wow.
one too, following my father around at
Wow.
home. So you're going to see Tito Puente in an atmosphere unlike anything else that no one's ever seen. At home, Christmas time, Thanksgiving, me and my sister playing jokes on my father, opening up the refrigerator and him throwing cherries at him at the dinner table. Funny stuff.
Nice.
You're going to hear Tito Puente's potty mouth, cursing and all that. And great. You'll see him getting frustrated. Yeah, we like poking the bear, we call it. We always mess with my father and play jokes on him. Tito Puente mowing the lawn. I got my dad with a lawnmower, and no one's ever seen that before. You've seen Tito Puente, the magical and incredible and incomparable, talented man on stage, and you can see that on YouTube. But most of the stuff that I have on my YouTube channel, youtube.com/Tito Puente Jr., my dad on the drum set. No one's ever seen that before. Dad, hanging out with us at dinner time, just throwing peas at each other. Funny stuff and testimony from superstars like Sheila E., Carlos Santana.
Sheila
Edward
E.
James
Yeah, she's quite a drummer too.
Great, beautiful percussion players, musicians, fans, friends, family. We're going to have all that embodied into 90 minutes. It's very hard to compact a 6-decade career into 90 minutes, but we're going to try to do it.
Wow.
And maybe put it into a series, or maybe a volume 1 or volume 2 documentary, something like that.
That's
But
awesome.
really, really exciting. I look forward to it. And you guys, of course, can see a lot of that stuff, youtube.com/Tito Puente Jr. I throw a lot of clips up there and people get entertained. They're like, oh, I didn't know your father did that. I didn't know he did that. I didn't know he did that.
I
Got him at
really
the Yankees,
appreciate that.
throwing out the first pitch.
Here's a question for you.
Really?
If you think a lot of the questions that we've asked would throw you off, who would you like to collaborate with if you could?
That's a very good question, and I think I've always reached out to the ones that I always looked up to, but I don't know if I could. The heavy metal guys. I don't know if I could ever work with them, but again, I'm going to try to mix metal and mambo. And I would love to do a collaboration, possibly with Carlos Santana. Share a stage with him. I did work with Sheila. I did work with Tony Vega. All the guys that work with my father. There's so many different artists that I just admire. Mark Anthony, I worked with him.
Oh, I love him.
Times.
He's great. I love his
He's
music.
fantastic. Gilberto Santa Rosa, I shared stages with him. These are great Latin artists. Jennifer Lopez, there's so many great artists out there that I admire and really truly look at. But I think I cross a lot of them with them being influenced by Tito Puente. So how can we collaborate? I guess the main one right now that I would love to do something with is Bad Bunny, simply because he's the biggest superstar on the planet. And maybe one day, he'll join me on stage and I'll give him a cowbell.
No, that's Christopher Walken's. That's Christopher Walken's line. No cowbell.
Yeah.
Wow.
By the way, I like Shakira too, man. She's another one I'd love to get on stage with her.
Shakira, yeah.
I'll play a little music and she can shake it, and I'm good with that.
That's if your wife lets you.
Okay, I always do this. I always do this with people. I go, what if? Hello, it's Paul McCartney. It's Tito Puente Jr. there.
Now you're talking about my fantasies now. That's different. Dream person and then fan. I'm Paul McCartney. I know Ringo knows who my father is. He said it in a few interviews. But Sir Paul McCartney, or maybe Sir Elton John. I wanted to get Phil Collins, but I know he's not in good health.
Yeah.
So Phil would have been a great one too.
Mm.
There's so many. Like, these are legends. Like, I would just be truly honored, to work or just share a stage with them or just have a conversation with them. But
Nice.
yeah, I would probably faint if he came my way. Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Jim.
And of course, it's great. It's crazy to say, but is there anything that you haven't done yet that it's kind of like lingering on the back burner, and you're like, well, I'll get around to it, or it's like the honey-do list, of what album that you would want to put out next?
Well, besides cleaning out the garage that my wife's been telling me to do for about 4 years now, eventually we'll get a car in there. I'm going to shoot now for a recording with a symphony. This is something that my father dreamt of doing. He only performed with symphonies, never got to record with them. And that is now, I want to fulfill that dream of my father's, to record with a symphony. We're trying to do one with the Puerto Rican Symphony. That was his last concert that he had in April of 2000. So we're talking to them. And I want to possibly maybe get that and maybe inducted into a nomination for a Grammy Award. I never won a Grammy.
Nice.
My father, of course, has 7 of them, 14 nominations. So that would be kind of like my next goal. But to do the recording is really my main goal right now, and to record with a symphony, Tito Puente music with a symphony behind it on a recording platform.
Wow.
Where we can, and maybe even record it live in concert from Puerto Rico, which would be even nicer, and that people can see it, view it, and we could tell stories and have big, a whole documentary involved in that as well. So that in itself would be my next goal, and that would be my next dream to do. And I think it's coming to fruition because I have a big meeting next week about it, and we have investors, and I'm very happy to say that it looks like it's going to happen. So that's probably my next goal. I think I go goal by goal. Having my children was my first one, so they're there, and now they're adults. So goodbye to them and enter the symphony.
Am I under the impression that you can play every single one of your father's songs?
You are highly. I was going to slide a bottle of vodka to you.
Say it.
That. No, I cannot. And I can tell you probably most over maybe 80% of the songs would be very difficult for me to play simply because of the talent and the skill of the drum solos that he has on
Wow.
those particular songs.
Amazing.
However, practice makes perfect. And my father taught me that. I think I can do it. It would take me many, many months, but I'm looking to channel that energy into learning that. And I'm looking forward to learning from those that came before me, like my father's orchestra members, the
Hmm.
ones that are still alive today, to be on my album and to teach me how to play these songs. And I know my limits, but I know that I have no limits when it comes to Tito Puente music. I do know his catalog, but I think my brother, my older brother, Ronnie, knows the catalog way more than probably anybody else.
Nice.
And he will be a part of this album too, as well. So I'm excited to share that as well.
Wow.
Yeah. Great stuff, man.
So I do have one question. I know everybody's going to just hit me over the head with this, but that's okay. I heard that in some circles, as you know, with AI coming out and people
Mhm.
trying to replicate, and people who, if you can't afford to take lessons or can't afford the instruments, so people are trying to do all this other stuff, right? That some of the models there, and when I looked it up today, is like there are actual models written on, I mean, the obvious, like the London Symphony Orchestra, or Rachmaninoff and Beethoven. But then you go into jazz and you go into Latin jazz, and there's your dad. They actually have a model for Latin. So that being said, and don't kill the message person here. I just you know what do you think about the new generation and cell phones and this technology now being trained on what your dad had started and created.
Yeah. There are many companies out there that can replicate a lot of music. There will be no other Tito Puente. The solos were unique. It's hard to replicate those, and the
Sure.
arrangements as well. You can replicate a Latin jazz song, but it'll probably sound very common, and it's probably inspired by Tito Puente's or particular arrangements that he first created back in the 1940s and 50s and 60s. Mind you, my father had a very vast catalog, so very, very hard to replicate all the songs.
Mm.
It'd be hard pressed to say that you can replicate something that sounds similar to like a cha cha cha, like an Oye Como Va. And there are bands out there that have that sound. However, the configuration that he had and just the spirituality of it,
Mm.
and to have that intonation of having a real singer and a real percussion player, it's nothing like it. Live music will always be around forever.
Mhm.
Amen.
I walked down the street in Las Vegas a couple of weeks ago. I was out there and I just heard music, rock bands right there in Fremont. It was everything, even, street musicians and guys on big stages. And there's nothing like live music. I don't think these companies, the Sunos and the AIs and all this stuff, they can replicate that. People want tangible stuff, and I want to be able to hug my fans and say hello to you guys and tell me a story about Tito Puente and how you met him and how he changed your life and your trajectory in being a musician. And maybe you hired him for your wedding or your divorce party or whatever. They love the Tito Puente music. I need to hear that. An AI robot can't do that. And I noticed that when my concerts, they whip out the cameras, they film me. I say, guys, whip out the cameras and film me. Do it, no problem. But man, by the end of the night, you better be standing with that camera and dancing at least. And what happens is that they're so busy dancing, and I engage with them, they put the camera away. And they're just like, oh my God. So, and think that's the essence of live music. How do we get people to put the cameras away and be a part of it? I went to a concert with my son, a great artist named Kid Leroy, a couple of weeks ago. All the kids whip out the cameras. They're all jumping up and down. By the end of the concert, there were no cameras. He told everybody, put your cameras away, and everybody was jumping. And that's
Wow.
really the essence of having a live band and a live group and a live artist. You can control the narrative of how you want your music to be intaked into the audio and the feeling that they get. And I think when you come see Tito Puente Jr., you're going to get, I tell everybody, it's not only an educational, but it's almost a religious and spiritual retreat
Wow.
and a religious experience of hearing Afro-Cuban music and learning about Tito Puente music. And I don't think any computer can teach you that. Google can try, but you're not feeling it. Oh, there it is.
Not at all.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Thank you, guys.
You're very welcome, man. Wow, this is great. Really learned a lot about you, Tito, and about your dad and everything. It's just such a pleasure having you on the show. It's just, and you too, Jim. Thank you so much for being my co-host again, as on
You're welcome.
always. A beautiful job. But well, he knows how to do this. But I'm in my 405th episode already, so I'm learning a lot.
Congratulations. Nice.
I'm learning a lot. So I'm going to try to bring this up on the podcast on your. So June 2nd, you said was your birthday?
June 2nd, Tuesday, June 2nd is my actual birthday. I'll be 55 years old. That's right. You guys are saying, where's your white hair? I don't have any yet.
Hey, you're only 4 years. You're only 4 years older than me,
bro. I'm keeping it young, bro.
I'll release this on your birthday. How about that? Happy birthday.
I would appreciate that. And please share the link. I want to send it to everybody.
Thank you.
And tell everybody all about this great podcast, man.
Thank
I had
you.
such a blast with you guys.
I love you.
I love speaking on my father, and I really appreciate your questions. They were truly intelligent questions. They weren't just like-minded or very, off the cuff. You guys took the time and energy and learned about my history.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people that I do interviews with, especially on TikTok and other platforms, they don't know what who are you and what are you doing? Do your homework before you're talking to me, buddy. I'm from New York, okay? I'm gonna knock you out.
What do you do?
Hey, how you doing? Hey, don't fuck around.
I tell him I'm Enrique Iglesias. You're the wrong guy. I'm Ricky Martin. But I appreciate your questions, man. I had a blast with you guys, man.
Thank you so much. Appreciate that.
Yeah, man.
Likewise, cool. and we'll be, and you'll not be in touch, and make sure that
addresses. Please send me address if you guys want to come to the show. Let me know if you guys are in town on June 1st. I have the show at St. Peter's Church. Of course, the Puerto Rican parade. Everybody's invited to that. Don't worry, you look Puerto Rican. You'll mix right in with us.
Jim, did he send in my address, Jim?
Yeah, I'll send you the address. Send you the hot sauces. Send you guys some samples of some hot sauces. Try them out. Tell me if you like them. Tell me if you hate them. If you don't like them, send them to your uncle or your aunt.
My uncle's 95 years old, buddy. That's going to kill him.
Yeah, we'll send it to your ex-wife then.
When are you performing at the Blue Note? Later in the year, right?
That will be at the Blue Note on August 15th. Saturday, August 15th. Wow. I'm doing a brunch show. One set's at 12:30. The other one's at 3:00. I do a two show brunch set. And we packed it out last year, man. It was fantastic. So,
it's been years since I played there with Spiral Gyra. So
love that band.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, and you play with Journey as well. The guy from Journey as well.
Beautiful, yeah. Steve. Was Steve?
Steve.
Oh man, fantastic, man.
Wow,
great. One of my idols.
And he interviewed Cher, by the way.
Yeah,
man, amazing stuff.
We're talking.
He's a legend too. Just don't forget that.
I'm seeing that and hearing that. Yeah.
But I mean, this is back in the day when I worked at Hot 97, Z100, and CD 101.9. So, by the way, the only person that knows that I'm interviewing you today is Judy Torres.
I love Judy. That's the queen of freestyle, and she's such a sweetheart. Works at KTU. Very good friends with my sister Audrey. You guys know Audrey, the meteorologist on Fox. Audrey works in New York City. So, she loves dance music and freestyle music and all that stuff, too. That's great. You're a radio guy, man. That's fantastic. I love it.
Love awesome, New York radio. I really enjoyed this interview.
Thank you so very much.
I appreciate you guys, man. And happy Memorial Day. We remember those veterans and those men and women who served in the armed forces on this special day in their remembrance. Tito Puente was a fellow Navy man, and you'll see that in the documentary. And man, once again, follow me on my social media, guys, at Tito Puente Jr. Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, TikTok. And check out my hot sauce. Get some Tito Puente swag at TitoPuenteJrHot.com. Follow me on the YouTube channel. Man, what more can I say? Go Mambo.
Yeah, send me all your links, because when I release this, I'm going to have your description, and I'm going to have your social media, and then all your links that, for merchandise, whatever. I'll put it all in there.
Yeah. By the way, all this memorabilia, we're going to ship some of this stuff to the Smithsonian Institute in Washington, D.C. They have a beautiful exhibit called Puro Salsa, and it's a beautiful, beautiful.
Wow.
exhibit with Celia Cruz, Ruben Blades, Fania All Stars, and a lot of Tito Puente stuff there too. So check that out.
Amazing. Wow, that's I like that. Wow, look at that. Amazing
Cool stuff.
background.
Thank you again, guys. I appreciate you.
Any last words, Jim, before we end the stream? No, that's it. Oh, did you lose us?
No, did we lose his audio? Might have lost his audio. Yeah.
That's okay. We'll
Check
wait.
1, 2. Oh, all right.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Well, again, thank you very much. I appreciate you guys. And
Thank you.
we'll send me the links and send me the addresses.
Okay, everyone. We're going to end the stream right there, everyone. Okay. Thank you. Bye.